Hi, we're back for another Wildlife Wednesday. This week it's a Winter Wednesday edition. We're going to be talking about tracks that you find in the snow. My name is Clarissa. I'm one of the naturalists here at Oxbow Park and Zollman Zoo. And we're going to go looking around, looking at the tracks that we see. Now that we've had fresh snow, this is the best time of year to look for them. And you're going to notice, you're going to see a chapstick-sized tube in most of the pictures that we take to identify the tracks, because we need something to reference the size. Because sometimes you might see a track in a picture that looks really tiny, or it might look really huge. But this will help keep track of what size they are. Now let's go head out and see what we can find. Here we have an example of a deer track, and if we look up here, you're going to see there are lots of deer tracks. That is one thing we see a lot of here at Oxbow Park, and it actually looks like there was maybe a party going on of the deer right here. Here we have a canine track, and because this is in a no dog area, we're going to assume that this is a wild canine. Also, there's another indication here, besides the fact that there aren't human footprints right next to it walking this canine, it was out by itself. You can see that those tracks are very far apart from each other. That tells us that it's probably most likely a wild canine, because what they do is they use the same hole that their front paw steps into to let their back paw step into it. That way, if the snow is deep, they can conserve their energy by not having to punch through more snow. They just use the same hole that their front paws are in, and then their hind paws go into that same footprint that they have in the snow. Here we can see some tracks that are very tiny in comparison to the chapstick tube, and when you look really closely at them, you can see there is a tail mark between. So it's telling us that it's a rodent that has a tail, and maybe not a super long tail, so it could be a member of a vole or a shrew that have those shorter tails. Have you ever noticed these funny tracks? They're just barely below the surface of the snow, and it looks like a tunnel going along. It actually is. This is where the rodents spend their time, digging around underneath the snow and going in between that layer of snow and ground. That layer is called the subnivean layer, and that's where they hang out and they find protection, but then they'll also find seeds and other foods that they're looking for as well. A helpful hint when identifying some tracks, you may notice that they're there, they're moving, and then all of a sudden they stop and disappear. Most likely it's going to be a bird, because remember, they can fly. If you're really lucky, you'll get to see the wing prints of their takeoff. Or if you're even more lucky, you'll get to see the wing prints in the snow of a raptor who comes down and grabs its food from underneath the snow. Now that you've seen a couple examples of what some of those tracks look like, why don't you test out your skills and see if you can identify the tracks that we have. It's a little tricky. There's some Oxbow Park wildlife and then also some Zollman Zoo animal tracks. Let's see how you do.